Welcome, welcome. This is going to be my Marvel's Avengers review. I have no idea why this game shut down. I would love to know the reasons. It's probably they didn't want to back it. I know the license for this has got to be pricey. Using all these characters and stuff like that, just off the Cap, Hulk, and Thor with Iron Man roster, that gotta be a steep price. But like, just look at this. Like this reminds me of when me and my brother used to play Ultimate Alliance, and you could have never told me there would be a game that looked at this good and felt that similar. As far as like, you could jump on this with 3 other people and just do some 4-player co-op, and each hero feels different. Honestly, I wish they could get the team that did this to do a X-Men game, but that's a whole nother topic. As far as them shutting us down, where I think it went wrong is Bucky and most of this regular human roster should have been replaced with people who were actually a little more unique to the Marvel universe. Like Black Widow is cool. I think they let a little bit too much of the movies, the cinematic universe, and the TV series get you in, because I know they play different, but there's really 2 Hawkeyes is unnecessary. To be honest, I think Hawkeye and Bucky are unnecessary. I think Hawkeye and Bucky should have been Cap's ultimate instead of that, what is it, that Brooklyn Brawler beatdown or whatever mode he goes into. It really should have been like a thing to where he summons those 2 and they shoot and attack things automatically, and he throws his shield or whatever. That should have been his ult. Or they could have added them to Black Widow's ult. Those are definitely 2 wasted spaces in my opinion. I know Hawkeye's got, I would say, a little bit more of a fan base but I don't know too many people that, rock with characters outside of the core of Cap, Hulk, Thor, and Iron Man. Spider-Man is he was a good addition, because it actually, with the open world and stuff and his web swinging and all of that, he actually plays very good. Like I mean, obviously it's not as strong as a solo Spider-Man game, but the way he travels and stuff, it's not bad. It definitely feels like Spider-Man. Female Thor, for the life of me, like, once again, this is another wasted roster. Cause like, what's the point in having her? Outside of like, if you're like a Natalie Portman fan or something, she could have easily been just like a Thor skin. They could have threw the same voice on her. It could have been like a Thor skin. Because there's no reason for them to play different or none of that. Like, it's Thor, I don't even feel like there's enough difference between them as maybe like I'd have rather have seen a War Machine, or even still, that's like more so to the point. Like, the humans they threw in here could have really been like Cap could have summoned Bucky and Falcon. That could have been his all. You know what I mean? And Black Widow, if they wanted to stick to like the movies and stuff like that, like she could have summoned Hawkeye or something like that. Or I mean, Hawkeye's not that bad of a character, but having the second one, the girl one, and then all the titles they put out, which was just clearly hinting to they were releasing things based off the show. Like, I seen a couple of videos rumoring that they were talking about She-Hulk was in the works. But why would y'all be working on She-Hulk and y'all really didn't get the Hulk right? Like, I understand story-wise, Tony Stark made a contingency plan to deal with the Avengers, and somebody took advantage of that tech or whatever, right? So, yeah, these things he built, it's supposed to be believable that they were built to deal with all the Avengers. Mind you, one of them is a god, literally, and then the other one is Hulk. So I think it's just off-putting when you see like these small drones punching them and, just sliding Hulk all around. Like, it doesn't, it kind of takes you out of the feel that you're playing with Hulk. And I'm not saying he should be invincible or anything like that. Of course not. But they could have done the animations for him taking damage different. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he should be shrugging. He could have been shrugging stuff off, but still taking damage. I wouldn't have had a problem with that. But there's so many people I introduced to this, and they're Hulk fans, and they get them, and they thinking they're about to just go off, And even after leveling up, it's like, when does he start to feel like just Hulk? Like. I think they should have really designed him as far as taking hits and stuff just a little bit different. But yeah, She-Hulk, I don't necessarily see that having been necessary to add her to this roster. Black Panther, I would say, could definitely stay because he expands the map. Like now they have Wakanda to explore and work on problems like that. Like, I feel like they should have definitely added more characters that came with that benefit. You know what I mean? Like somebody that was maybe connected to Namor or something, so that we could have had more environments to play through. Like maybe a mission where Thor, you help Thor on Asgard, but it's like most of this roster, you could tell, was just them hoping that the movies in the cinematic universe would sell this game. And I'm looking at I know people that don't even like Cap. Like it's kind of like with everybody else in the Avengers, Cap is a bit of an odd fit. Like, I think he's exactly what he was designed for, to motivate people to fight for America. He's still that in the Avengers. Even tactical stuff, like, if you want to be technical, Iron Man has Jarvis. Jarvis can come up with a tactical strategy on the fly while analyzing things because he has so much tech. But yeah, the humans they added to that, at least I would say at least 3 of them did not need to be added. Like Bucky is like, what is he? You can almost say, I guess you could say he's a super soldier, but I mean, what's the trade-off? He's Cap with a gun. Like he's Cap with a gun and a metal arm. Like. I don't get it. Like, why was he considered over so many other clear Marvel options? And with the way they played it, they were designing characters to feel like the character, to feel different for the most part. Like, it's crazy to me how you can pick Black Panther and he doesn't feel like Captain America. For none of them feel too similar, which is why I didn't understand. It's like, if you're gonna add Hawkeye, and I really like the way he plays, I don't see the need to have another Hawkeye on the roster. It almost made me think that they were gonna go the route of adding the whole Young Avengers squad, and that I could see that having a benefit, but they didn't do that. And I feel like that's what, that along with the glitches, like some of the glitches are just, man, having to reload checkpoints and stuff like that, which ain't bad because it happens fairly. It's a fairly quick adjustment to be made, but it does take you out of being immersed into the game and the gameplay. So I can understand, like, you pay money for this, you want to get it, but the free character updates, and some people were shrugging it off, but I mean, come on, with the way DLC is going crazy, I don't care about the microtransactions. None of what they have in the shop, I feel like, was better than what you could unlock. And for people like, oh man, you gotta pay for the battle pass, bruh. The first 5 characters, not even, right? Let me get the head count right. This game comes with Black Widow, Cap, Hulk, Miss Marvel, Thor, and Iron Man. So you have 6 characters that you don't have to buy their battle pass. The battle pass is already unlocked. So just off of those 6, you stacking enough coins to where every time they added another character, boom, you unlock them, you got more coins to unlock. So you had six from the jump to play with, and you could have just kept one character's coins, preserved that, and just kept using that character to unlock other characters' battle passes. So when people made that battle pass gripe, it's almost like Apex. Like, it's exactly like Apex, except Apex don't pay the $10 for you the first time. You pay that first $10 to get the battle pass for 950 coins, and then you earn enough coins to consistently continue to buy the battle pass as long as you continue to complete them every season. Which is, on here you had 6 battle passes bought for you already. All you had to do was work with them and unlock the coins. But when I say they made everybody play on here so unique, like, I'm not even a Black Widow fan, but I like the way she plays. It's, the takedowns and stuff. I understand that being behind the paywall was a bit frustrating, but once again, like, you get 6 battle passes already unlocked. So if you're just following that trail every time they release somebody, you could at the very least hook up 2 to 3 characters that you really enjoy and get their takedowns or whatever. But yeah, I think the biggest fail is, some of those glitches, fighting enemies, and then their primary targets for the mission to continue, and then one of them fades through the floor or the wall. That's nuts. The glitches as to where to solve certain puzzles or something like that, like something goes wrong and it's not loading right. Those were some of the glitches, or being disconnected or just dropping through the map. Those were just maybe 4 of the type of glitches that I experienced that were kind of like, yeah, I can't bring this to my brothers. This happens like maybe twice within 10 to 15 minutes. They're gonna be like, yo, what did you have me buy? But now everything's free. Well, from the store, the paywall stuff is basically down since they shut it down. And I think this roster, like, even the roster could have been better, to the point where I think they could have proved they would have had enough support to be like, hey, we should reinvest in this. And we can definitely get some investors to invest in this if they would have had more so of the Ultimate Alliance rosters up here. Like, I think that would have been crucial. Like, that would have been such a game-changing thing for this, because a lot of these people, especially like even playing with Cap, like they shine in one way for the most part, the humans. You know what I mean? Like, they don't, like, there's so many ways for offensively for Hulk to do things. I mean, like I said, I don't like the way he takes damage and kind of feels like he's it takes away from being the Hulk, him getting knocked around. Like I could see if they had tanks and stuff pull up for him and things like that, like the army, showing up. But it's like fighting with those little drones that you could hold square and slam around. Just having a few of them knock you around and it does crazy damage. It'll very quickly take you out of the field. Like it don't even feel like you're Hulk at that point. It feels like you're a big target. But if they would have just gotten this roster right, I believe it was Marvel Heroes Omega. Luke Cage summons all of the members from Hero for Hire. Like you could summon everybody and have them attack for you. Like they could have really done that with most of these people that they made on here. That they could have been a part of Cap's ult, which would have made Cap more beneficial to play as. Because I'm a diehard Cap fan, but watching Iron Man and Thor fly ahead on an open world map and Hulk do the Hulk leap while I'm running at a he's above average human speed, but I mean, come on. By the time I get to the fight, a good Hulk, Thor, or Iron Man has the situation handled, but yeah, if they would have just reworked this roster right, which they probably, I'm gonna be honest, maybe marketing or whoever's in charge of the project had a little more control over who was being worked on, because I really find it hard to believe that the people who made this just were shooting for the cinematic roster. Like the only unique person on the roster I would say is Miss Marvel, and you have people complaining about that. Like nobody wants to follow her through the story. Like why is she the main lead when we have Cap, Iron Man, Hulk, and Thor, which is understandable. But at the same time, I think they were pitching the aspect of like we want to sell you the story through the eyes of somebody who's as much as a fan as maybe the person playing. But yeah, the roster, like even if you have some of the glitches are still taking effect to this day. But I feel like if they would have had a way better roster, like there's about 3 or 4 swap outs that would have been like, alright, cool, we good. We switched these characters out for some other characters and we're straight. Like they would have swapped these out for any of the other people from Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. Like it would have made this way better. I couldn't have seen it failing. Like graphically this looks amazing. I wish I could put up a side by side for how Ultimate Alliance looks in comparison to this, and it's like we burned hours playing Ultimate Alliance, and like that, like we're thinking that's as good as it's gonna get for Marvel, for like a group Marvel game with co-op. We're thinking that's as good as it's gonna get, and it's kind of it was kind of typical. Like you had your close combat fighters, they all kind of mimicked the same thing. Like each of the skills that you can do, the specials were like, oh, they're just going to do like, he's a close combat type, so he does that, or this is a long range type, so they do that. But it was still like the roster was what was selling the game, the roster and the co-op. This has the gameplay aspect on lock. Like the gameplay is a great selling point here, not to mention like the visuals, like the graphics. Like that's why I got Iron Man in that War Machine suit. Like look at that suit. Like you can run through just some of even the regular unlockable costumes look great. Like the character detail looks amazing. And it's like they really got shortchanged. Like it makes no sense to me that there weren't more bosses included. Like the Marvel Universe is big enough to where each level should have had like a sub boss, than a primary boss you get to at the end. And even if they wanted to, make it a little more of a switch up, they could have had it to where, yeah, you beat the sub boss on your way to making it to the main boss, and then all of a sudden sub boss shows up again trying to help the main boss out during the boss fight. Like, there was so much more they could have did with this that makes me wonder if they just really fumbled it, or maybe they didn't have creative control the way I'm thinking. But whoever was in charge of releasing the roster, they dropped the ball big time. Like, the people they added, like, I still haven't played with Bucky, and it's not to say that he doesn't, like I said, the visuals, the takedowns, like, they look great. But for the most part, the takedowns were locked behind a paywall. So the free aspects of this game that made up for it was the characters being released and the story continuing. Which is why I said if they would have did the roster better, they could have added other people like Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider would have had a whole nother aspect to this, to where it's like, okay, boom, now we're dealing with, a whole nother area to explore, even if it was just a different city, but with monsters from hell like Blackheart and all of that. That would have been way better than releasing another Hawkeye, a female Thor, and Bucky. And it's just hard for me to believe that the people working on this weren't thinking that as well. Like, nobody on the team, nobody on the team was like, hey, this roster, yeah, like there's so many people that don't even follow the comics like that, to where I don't understand why they thought like the girl Hawkeye deserved a character because Disney Plus released the show. There's a large audience that sells the cinematic movies that have no idea who she is. None. Why was she added? There's people that have been rocking with Thor. I didn't know about a female Thor. And I've been into Marvel since I was a kid because of art, but I mean, they know who the people are that stand out, and they wasted the initial building of the roster on people who, like, if you ain't following the movies or the shows, you don't know who they are. Like, that was where I think the ball was definitely dropped for this the hardest. But I still think maybe if they were like, they definitely need a second shot at this. Or, as I was saying earlier, if they were to get the team of people that built this and to make an X-Men game, it could be a very simple roster. We could go with the old cartoon show roster. We could get Gambit, Storm, Cyclops, Wolverine, Beast, Nightcrawler, Rogue. Oh man, it would be crazy playing as Rogue. Jubilee, maybe, and as far as the villains, keep it simple. The Brotherhood, Magneto, Sabretooth, Avalanche, Pyro, Juggernaut, of course. Like that. If they put out a project like that, it would kill it, especially if they made the play styles unique. Even if they only had it to where you could play as just the heroes, that's whatever. I bet they'd get away with doing that, unlocking the villains as DLC. I bet that would get support for sure. But as I was saying, the roster has to be right. The roster is so important. It's like the biggest factor. Like, I can't. The way I'm selling family members on this is like, I'm like, yo, who's your favorite hero? Then I look at the roster. oh, cool, cause you like Spider-Man, he on here. Get it for PlayStation, you know, and that's a selling point. But it's like, I don't know who's getting in line for Bucky like that. Like for real. who's who's lining up for Bucky? Who's lining up for the female Hawkeye? Like I know they're attracted to the actress that plays her, but this girl, the character model don't look like her. So I don't understand how they, like I said, the roster they released the selling point for it. But hopefully this isn't the last attempt we see at a game for Marvel doing it like this. Shit, man, I'd like to see them try it for DC, man. That would be clutch. Seeing a game like the Justice League, and it would check off so many boxes. They wouldn't even have to make like they have the palette for Batman already. Just have him play like he playing them in all those Gotham City games. Have him play like that. Superman, shit, hell, that ain't hard to do. Cause DC Universe needs a graphic upgrade, man. But yeah, that's just my little review on where I think they dropped the ball at on this. Still play this though. This is definitely a game I think worth having on your collection. I don't know about paying $40 for it, but I mean, it wouldn't be a loss with everything that's included, especially now that all the paywall stuff is unlocked and free. And they have missions going past 140, 150 now. And I think I seen a mission, because I just recently got back into this, a mission to where now the new limit is 180. I seen somebody who had a champion level of over 365. So the replay value is definitely here. Far better with multiplayer, even better with friends. Because when you got the right group that you vibe with, it be looking like one of the Marvel movies when y'all working together, fighting enemies. But yeah, that's just my opinion on this. If you made it all the way to the end, once again, thank you, appreciate you, and hope you pick up this game.